up, rise and shine. It's a brand new day with Mona News. It's time to have your say. She's got the scoop, the stories, all the latest trends. Mo's got the news, let's hear it. My dear friends, from politics to showbiz, no story's too small. Mo covers it all. She's got the inside call, her voice so smooth, like honey in the summer sun. With Mo on the mic, you know the news is always fun. Mornings with Mo, the best newsy news in the world. With her style so classic and her stories unfurled, from morning till night, she's got us in the know. Turn on your radio, let Mo's newsy news flow.
Good morning, everyone. It is the 8th of August, and so we have, double eight. So if you want to play those scratchers, maybe it's lucky. I don't know. I've never actually bought a scratcher myself. I've gotten some, but there you go. Maybe it's your sign. Good morning, Wolfram. Good morning, Christine. You guys, Christine has her own YouTube channel. If you want to go over and support her, let us support everyone who is dipping their toes into this YouTube thing. You guys gave me a shot when I was starting out, and it has been so amazing. Good morning, Erin Olivia and Unhung Hero and Christy Marie and Nanny Goat. Yay, Richard Nixon. Good morning, Captain Kern and Audio Coffee. And I think you're the same person on X, so congratulations on the kitten having babies. I love little kitten babies. Mr. Mo said I could not have any more, but, is he really in charge? Probably yes. Our first story is about that kind of everyday heroism that I like to point out. A Florida deputy raced into a pond to rescue a missing autistic boy, 5 years old, in an emotional embrace. I mean, absolutely amazing. I don't know if I've told you guys, when we first moved into this house, youngest, most feral, had the terrible habit of falling asleep in cabinets. So I looked all around our house. I looked everywhere, and we are really close to a lake too. And I mean, I was legitimately sprinting faster than I ever have in my entire life, going outside and, looking all around. Now, as soon as the police officer entered our house, a sleepy-eyed little feral child came up from the basement saying, "Why dare a police officer here?" And I was like, for the love of all that is Cheetos, I am going to hug and day drink after this. The police officer was wonderfully sweet and said that it happens all the time. But I was just like, for the love of all that is Cheetos. And you guys, try, if you can, I know money is tight, try to help Captain Kern. We have, he has been a great supporter of this channel, and he has his own channel. So definitely go help him. We can help repair his house. I am getting ready to get more fund money, so I will try to donate this week. Please remind me, because my brain is shot with new school stuff. And Audio Coffee has a channel too. And then, oh, okay. I was just like, she had kittens. Yay. The squirrels are in full force this morning, if you couldn't tell. Heart-stopping body cam video shows the moment a Florida sheriff deputy raced into a large pond to rescue a missing 5-year-old autistic boy after he wandered from his family home Tuesday night. A Volusia County Sheriff's deputy was scanning a wooded area next to a body of water in the city of Deltona when he heard a young child cry out, the video shows. I've got him, Deputy Wes Burrows said as he ran toward the small voice. Burrow is seen then on another deputy's body cam running into knee-deep water where he scooped up the little boy and tightly held him as he brought the child back to land. Are you okay? And what's your name? The deputy asked the boy as he put him on the ground. Do you want to go see your parents? Burrow said after he picked the boy up in the clip. The boy's father called police around 7:30 p.m. after the 5-year-old fled from his house through a second-story door, setting off an alarm, the sheriff's office said. Absolutely terrifying. I mean, that was the one big fear I had about this house, is being so close to the water, and we're not even on the lake, but I was worried because wild feral boy children. Now, ladies, I don't know if he's single, but I'm sure we could have Sal, FOIA that. It is Florida. The family and deputies searched the immediate area, but he didn't turn up. Authorities started looking for him near bodies of water after they were told that the child, who is autistic, is attracted to the water. Good morning, we'll call Magic. The boy was found about 20 minutes after he'd vanished and was returned to his family. It was confirmed that the family had taken several measures to secure the house, including an alarm on the door that immediately alerted them that the boy had gone missing, the sheriff's office said. And just for those of you with, little lumpy potato baby boys that are going to be toddlers one day, and even little girls, they're called the chain locks from hotels. Every outside door, just put a chain lock from a hotel on the inside. That way, even the most inventive, youngest, most feral that you can encounter will not be able to get outside unless, they do that. Now, they do have doorknobby things that are supposed to be childproof. My boys figured those out where I really couldn't get them to work. So we went with hotel lock, just in case you're wondering. Good morning, King Bob. Our next story is pretty frightening, and normally I don't do, sort of political news, but this is more, I think, general, just information news. Let's see here. Taylor Swift concerts canceled after ISIS plot narrowly foiled by police. Now, this is absolutely unsettling because of how close we came to there being another powder keg moment in Europe, and young people that were just going to a concert losing their lives. Absolutely terrifying that it got this close. 3 Taylor Swift shows have been canceled on the European leg of her Eras tour after police narrowly thwarted an ISIS plot to attack her concerts in Vienna. Authorities warned that there could be other threats. Swift's sold-out Vienna shows, slated for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, were called off after the terror scare, her Austrian show promoter Barracuda announced. With confirmation from the government of a planned attack at Ernst Happel Stadium, we have no choice but to cancel the 3 shows for everyone's safety, the promoter said in a post on Instagram. A 19-year-old suspect living at his parents' home in Turnitz, just south of Vienna, was arrested Wednesday morning during a police raid on the house, law enforcement sources told the Post. A second suspect was apprehended later in the afternoon. A bomb squad found various chemicals and substances potentially being used to make go boom devices. Well, from my honest take on it is that she would just be the biggest soft target. I don't know that they particularly dislike Taylor Swift any more than anything else, but I think if you are in the business of making people pay attention by hurting innocent people, they've already done this at Ariana Grande. Why not do it at a Taylor Swift concert and get much more attention, make much more fear, distract the daily lives of people who just want to go to a concert? And what's the biggest concert right now? I mean, they could deeply dislike Taylor Swift because she breaks the heart of every man she, dates, and then writes songs about them. Isis is like, I don't like Shake It Off. I really don't. It's dumb. I will not shake it off. Stop it. Let's see. The pair were allegedly targeting Swift's concerts at Vienna Ernst Happel Stadium, where she was scheduled to play Thursday through Saturday to sold out crowds, according to Kron Zeitung. The suspects were focused on Taylor Swift concerts. We discovered that he was taking action to prepare for, some sort of scene, something to happen. My general worry about this is that we didn't find everything. We didn't find everyone. We caught this one, but what's to say that the next leg of her tour doesn't have someone that has the same thing? I mean, one thing we've learned about these different sort of very nebulous connections between these cells and local cities, kind of like Antifa, is that they don't talk to one another generally, but they tend to kind of are able to network, but it's sort of an independent sort of thing. So I do worry that they've found this one, but what's to say they haven't found the other several? And I do worry about that. Good morning, Squid Pro Quo and Tammy. A clear threat has been averted, the authorities said, adding that they do not yet have not yet declared concerts entirely safe and are still investigating other accomplices. The 19-year-old suspect is an Austrian national who is believed to have pledged allegiance to, ISIS. He and other suspects are believed to have been radicalized online. Both suspects have been under surveillance by Austrian authorities and were known risks before the arrest, a pair of U.S. officials familiar with the matter said. Now, I will say that this reporting is a little bit unclear. Are they, second generation, from first generation immigrant parents? Are they, were they actually Austrian citizens born there from, German Austrian parents, or, you know what I'm saying, like native Austrian people? Because I think that's something that, again, you are adding to a powder keg when you cannot speak freely. And the way that language has been manipulated in order to decrease tensions has in fact done the exact opposite, because people can see with their eyeballs that there is a pattern. And if you recognize the pattern, you're called all sorts of phobes. Now, the 19-year-old had allegedly purchased the chemicals required to make a Go Boom device, but didn't have all the necessary components. It's unlikely that he would have been able to assemble all of the components before the concerts this week, noting that nonetheless, they decided to make the arrests in the case of suspects found, other means to attack the shows. Security plans have been increased at the concerts. This is not the first time that, extremists have targeted a pop concert. In 2017, 22 people were killed when Salam Abdi, 22, detonated a homemade Go Boom device at an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, England. More than 200 people were injured, and nearly 1,000 people reported suffering severe psychological trauma in the fallout. The bomber was unalived in the explosion, but his brother, Hasham Abid, was later admitted to help plot and was plot the attack, and he was sentenced to 55 years. Again, I think the fact that the media hasn't been addressing this, that they use linguistic sort of twists and turns to basically tell the general populace that pattern you see is all wrong. And if you don't accept our narrative, then you are just a terrible, terrible person. And I'm glad that they were able to stop this attack before it put more gasoline on that powder keg of a fire that is just waiting to go off. But I don't see this happening. And good morning, Michelle's Mixed Media Madness. Michelle also has a channel, and so does Squid Pro Quo. Give other people a shot. definitely love helping people that are giving YouTube a chance. It's been so much fun for me, and I love having other people join so we can just become a bigger, cooler group because I don't know how to journal. Well, mostly because that would require me to sit down and, write my feelings down, and I only have 90 gajillion other things to do. So there you go. Taylor Swift is safe, and hopefully that's oh no. Doggone it. You can't. Some days are just the most Mondays of days, regardless of actual day of the week. Good morning, Flash Fan 85. Awesome Possum. I am working on learning how to edit. If you guys see me crying hysterically, just know that I was trying to computer. It looks like we may have found a cure for the Seine. Apparently, Olympic swimmers are drinking Coca Cola to fight off bacteria after competing in the polluted Seine River. Now, I did not know Coca Cola could beat E. coli, but there you go. Learn something new every day. Olympic swimmers have possibly found a cure to beating E. coli riddled Seine River that has been one of the hugest storylines of the 2024 Paris Olympics. A can of Coca Cola. Several world class athletes swear that the sugary soda helped them stave off bacteria and any infection they could have gotten from, well, basically swimming in sewage water. There's no harm in drinking a Coke after a race, New Zealand's Ansley Thorpe told the Wall Street Journal after the women's triathlon last week. If you Google it, it says it can help. Uh, Doctors say there's no medical backing to Coca Cola being a gastrointestinal cure all, but many athletes are still taking advice from professionals around them in Paris. I will say when I was pregnant with all 6 children, regular Coca-Cola, and I would just get the small cans, after my first pregnancy where I was like, "I can eat everything and it will just go to my belly." Just for anyone out there, it does not. Pregnancy does not equal, like, go insanely crazy, eat, like, 4 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, and you'll be fine. Just a warning to you, I have done that, had the t-shirt, and had to do all of the exercising to get that weight off, but just for you to know. But I will say a small can of Coca-Cola helped me every time I was, uh, very sick. The myth of Coca-Cola is true. Australian marathon swimmer, Moesha Johnson told everyone, "We often have a Coca-Cola afterwards just to try to flush anything inside of us." I feel ya. I got into that dreadful cycle where I would lose the weight and then end up pregnant again. You know, I should never feel this is why God didn't let me get to my goal weight because he's like, "You don't handle that well." Every time I think you're back, you have a hot girl bounce back. Then you get a bump. Uh, After 10 years, I figured out there was a cause and effect correlation. The Olympians have also been taking cocktails of probiotics before and after their races to combat the polluted river in Paris. I took probiotics, I drank my Yakult, and I couldn't do any more, Belgium triathlete Jolene Vermeulen said after her race on July 31st. I had the idea of not drinking water, but yes, I failed. Ironically enough, Vermilion said the scene does not taste like Coca Cola or Sprite, of course. Ugh. Dr. Maria Abreu, the president of the American Gastroenterological Society, said that Coca Cola wouldn't have much effect on an Olympic athlete's intestines. These are young, athletic people, right? They're going to be healthy people whose stomach acid is going to be nice and robust. Other athletes drink or treat soda like an energy drink to help them restore some of the sugar lost while competing, as a 12-ounce can contains 39 grams of sugar, nearly 10 teaspoons. It really is dizzy grenade. Let's see here. My coach advised me to drink Coca-Cola to restore those glycogen levels immediately. American Katie Grimes told the outlet, not Diet Coke, just straight up Coke. Nothing does better than that. I mean, things you could say to a cartel and a Coca-Cola company. I don't want, get me the pure shit, please. So there you go. If you have to swim in the sun in the Seine, maybe have a bottle of Coca-Cola and an entire gallon of Purell next to you. That would be my suggestion, but I'm not a doctorologist. In what the actual hell, and I'm sort of glad that my inability to get this story up actually happened. The American who claimed that her husband chained her to a tree to starve her did it herself. Don't drink the Purell. Drink the Coca-Cola. Shower yourself in Purell. Yeah, so I saw this story last week and wanted to wait for the investigation to finish up before I finished, actually writing the or telling the story to you guys because I wanted to figure out what happened. An American woman found chained to a tree in a remote Indian forest had shackled herself to the trunk, according to Indian police. Lalita Kaya Kumar, 50, was rescued by authorities in the state of Maharashtra earlier this month in a state of pronounced hunger and dehydration. Literally unable to speak, she told the police by a handwritten note that she had been tied to the tree following a domestic dispute with her husband. Miss Kai, who was almost skeletal following her ordeal, said she had spent 40 days bound to the trunk. But Indian police, as well as a doctor who treated her, now say she may have made up the whole story about the dispute and tied herself up. They say she brought 3 locks and iron chains. She brought the locks and iron chains to the forest. A pair of keys to the lock on the chain were found meters away from where she was located. Miss K now admits she's not married, and she says she's suffering from hallucinations when she first gave her statement. In the statement, police also said that Miss K was distressed because her visa had run out and she was running out of money. This is not an isolated incident, it said. The woman had chained herself to a tree in Tamil Nadu, where she lived before relocating to Goa. This 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 woman also chained herself up to another tree. I am all the confusion. Miss K is being held in the hospital's psychiatric ward. Police said that because of her mental illness, she was not in control of her actions. After she was found on July 7th by a cattle herder who had taken his animals to graze in the forest, officials were doubtful of her claim that she had gone without food and water for 40 days because, you passed away after 3 days without water. It's the rule of threes. 3 minutes without air, you can have brain damage. 3 days without water, you can die of dehydration, and 3 weeks without food is generally where you will start getting severe malnutrition. Ask me how I know those. I don't remember, but I remember the rule of threes. They said it was unlikely that someone would survive without food or water for so long. Uh, Dr. Poole, a superintendent of the hospital where Miss K is being treated, told the Telegraph her condition is improving and she is oriented. She's given a statement to police as well that she had a psychiatric disorder and hallucination is part of that. She was hallucinating. She herself said that she was getting treatment for her disorder. We had to take the history, like how long she'd been suffering. She speaks very nicely and she's completely conscious. She understands what's going on around her. Physically, she's still weak, but she is having her food and now she's taking a solid diet. That's the other thing. Well, 3 minutes without air is when typically you will start maybe seeing brain damage. So it's not a hard and fast rule. Elite synchronized swimmers can hold their minute or their breath up for 3 minutes. It's just a different thing. But the other thing is that you have to introduce food back to people who have been near starvation very slowly, or they can become very ill or even disrupt their entire digestive system and die because the body is so confused and shocked by the food that it hasn't had in a while. So I'm sure they are doing, you know, a good job. She's in a hospital, and hopefully she gets treatment for whatever illness that she was dealing with. I have no idea. I don't know what would possess you or lead you to go tie yourself up to a tree, but I'm glad she got found. I'm glad she didn't have an evil husband that locked her up. And, she's getting the help that she needs now. Well, pro se means fun day, I guess. Quote, I'm not sure I'm going to get a lawyer. Shooting suspect angrily argues with judge over bail amount while representing himself at a hearing. This can only go well, I'm sure. A North Dakota man charged with robbery uh, that left one person injured last month got into an ultimately pointless argument of sorts with his judge during a bail hearing this week. Uh, Starmaine Hoper, 34, stands accused of one count each of attempted murder, aggravated assault, accomplice being a felon in possession of a firearm, possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver, according to Cass County authorities. Much to the defendant's chagrin, he was almost certainly will be detained in the Cass County jail for the foreseeable future. During the bail hearing, Hoper essentially acknowledged as much after the judge set his bail at $500,000, cash only, the amount requested by the prosecution. At least give me a cash bond or something. Ain't got no way to get $500,000 is excessive, an astonished Hooper said, according to a courtroom report by the Forum of Fargo and Moorhead. In response to the defendant's dismay, East Central Judicial District Court Judge Tristan Van Streek said the bail amount was reasonable and appropriate under the circumstances. Good morning, Fraudit Wrangler. Doing well. Surviving the first week back to school. Everyone still has shoes, a backpack, and everything. We have managed to keep all clothing found. The judge's brief reasoning appeared to upset Hooper further. $500,000 cash, agitated, Hooper asked the judge, no bond, I ain't rich. The court didn't budge. The defendant eventually gave up his display of consternation, reportedly smirking as he said, all right, and sauntered off. Perhaps seeming unusually talkative, the defendant appeared to suggest he was, in fact, in charge of his own case earlier in the hearing, at least at this point in the hearings. I'm not sure I'm going to get a lawyer or not, Hooper told the judge at one point before an argument about the bail amount happened. In the underlying case, law enforcement said the defendant offered several conflicting narratives about the shooting that occurred late on the night of July 31st on the side of a rural road. Police, however, settled on a version of events wherein Hooper and another suspect and the victim set out to buy not street legal pharmaceuticals with the victim's money. After a fruitless night of searching for those, pharmaceuticals, the defendant and his accomplice refused to return the other man's money, police allege. Then the trio argued and violence ensued, according to court documents obtained by Fargo-based NBC affiliate KVLY. After pulling over to the side of the road, the second suspect allegedly shot at the ground and ordered the victim to leave the vehicle. He complied, but later refused when he was told to walk into a ditch. Then the victim tried in vain to get back inside the vehicle when Hooper allegedly picked up the force multiplier and shot him. The defendant, for his part, later allegedly told police that the shooting was accidental and he was only trying to scare the victim by firing the weapon, not intending the bullet to, actually hit him. The victim called 911 and was found near a radio tower transmitter site on U.S. Route 81. He is expected to survive. The state painted the scene in stark terms for the court on Tuesday. Quote, the defendant is alleged to have shot someone in the stomach and left them on the side of a country road to die. Cass County State's Assistant Attorney Josh Tracer told the court during a hearing. Yeah, it kind of sounds like you need a lot of bail. Because, I mean, and again, these are crimes for which you should not be getting bail. Again, we cannot trust this gentleman, even if in his story he was just using a dangerous weapon to scare someone. That is not someone you can have in society. I mean, what happens the next time he wants to scare someone and it happens to be, I don't know, in a Target or a Walmart? These aren't thought processes that you can have and be fully integrated into a high trust society. If we want to build a high trust society, we have to discourage this behavior by locking these people up. I know this is crazy talk. Hobbits are real? I mean, I'm here for it. I know Baker's probably not, but I am. Fossils suggest early human quote unquote hobbits had ancestors who were even smaller. Tiny Homo florensis were marooned on an Indonesian island and are believed to have evolved to be shorter for survival. Fossil remains suggest an early human species nicknamed hobbits had an ancestor who were even shorter, according to a study published Tuesday in the Journal of Nature. The extinct Homo florensis were named after the Indonesian island of Flores, where they roamed, although scientists also refer to them as hobbits after Lord of the Rings characters. Fossils that were discovered on the island 20 years ago and date back to 60,000 to 100,000 years ago suggest that the species was about 3.5 feet tall. Researchers who studied fragments of a humerus or upper arm bone that were found on the same island in 2013 now say earlier relatives were about 2.4 inches shorter and existed at least 700,000 years ago. It's the smallest adult human arm bone ever, said Gerard van den Berg. They could have just put all those together, but instead they had, because of the language, you separate out these little surfeit or parts of the last surname, so it's harder to read straight off the cuff. A co-author of the study and paleontologist at the University of Wollongong in Australia, and I have probably messed that one up. Sorry, Australian people. It took researchers almost a decade to deduce the height from a 3.5-inch bone, which was excavated about 45 miles away from the original cave site, and to be sure that it was an adult and not that of a child. It was broken in many pieces, Berg said. Interesting. Homo florensis arrived on the island about 1 million years ago, he said, but quickly evolved to be smaller and eventually went extinct. While scientists have no definitive answer for why their bodies reduced in size, Burr said that clues could be found in the area's fauna. Animals on the island, such as elephants, underwent similar evolutionary changes, he said, possibly because of the limited food supply. If you have a population that quickly grows and depletes their resources, you'll get a population crash. In the face of food shortages, smaller individuals have a better chance of surviving, so there's a selective pressure toward a smaller size. While the origin of Homo florensis has long been the subject of dispute, the authors of the new study says it supports the theory that they descended from Homo erectus, one of the most recognizable human-like species. Berg said the anatomy of the teeny bone, as well as the two fossilized teeth found among it, are similar to that of Homo erectus. But the big question still looms. He said, how did the diminutive species end up marooned on an island? Probably a freak event. We don't know, but I don't think that they made boats at the time. He said, on the mainland, they can move, but on an island, they're stuck, so they have to adapt to changing climates. Well, there you go. Possibly. Can you imagine that Walmart? You just go there and everyone's asking you of normal height to get the things from the top. You know what? I would feel tall. I did. Dang science. Making me have to say all the funny words without laughing. Well, never promise your kid a pet duck, But an Olympic skateboarder, 14, whose parents promised her a pet duck if she won, has earned a gold medal. So I think she's getting Quackers McQuackerton. Ducks are really cute, and I always wanted a pet duck. Arissa True, the youngest Australian to win an Olympic gold medal, told reporters. Skateboarder Arissa True made history on Tuesday, August the 7th at the 2024 Paris Olympics as the youngest Australian to win a medal, and she will have something special waiting for her at home, a pet duck. During a press conference after her victory, the 14-year-old said her parents had promised her she could get a pet duck if she won a gold medal. Quote, ducks are really cute, and I really wanted a pet duck, True told reporters when asked about her unconventional gift choice. I don't know. Yes, I believe breakdancing, indoor climbing, and speed walking might also be sports too. I cannot remember. I know there's several new sports. My parents definitely won't let me get a dog or a cat because we're traveling so much right now, True told Australia's Nine News, but I feel like a duck might be a bit easier, and said, I don't know, I just want a duck. She earned her gold medal in women's park skateboarding on Tuesday after scoring a 93.18 on her final run, according to the Associated Press. Kahona Hikari of Japan and Sky Brown of Great Britain won silver and bronze, respectively. Hikari, 16, became Japan's youngest medal winner during the 2020 Tokyo Olympics when she won bronze in the same event at 13. It feels amazing having the gold medal around my neck, True told reporters. It's been my goal since watching the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. That inspired me and made me want to come to this Olympics to get the podium, which is like amazing. She was born in Cairns, Queensland, and attended LVLUP, an academy on Australia's Gold Coast where students can study and practice skateboarding. Interesting. I did not know that they had like a skateboarding school. I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know if that was totally the case. But yeah, that was the Romanians. There are a lot of obtuse and obscure rules in gymnastics that I think most lay people like me who don't understand things but see, people in really fun leotards do things that I'm like, I can barely walk upstairs, and this chick's doing like a double, triple backflip with a little thing at the end. But we don't quite get the scoring, and I think that can lead to a lot of issues. I wish they would simplify the scoring. I wish they would, understand that. Oh, wow. Hey, Joe. Yeah, I know there was a big controversy. They were saying something about ice skaters finally getting their medals yesterday. This was True's first trip to the Olympics, and her parents, Simon and Akiko True, watched and cheered her on from the stands at La Concorde. They struggled to find words to describe their feelings after True's win. We can't believe it. It's crazy, absolutely crazy, Simon told Nine News. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's just someone who loves skateboarding and having fun. Skateboarding legend Tony Hawk congratulated True, Haraki, and Brown and other skateboarding Olympians on Tuesday. Congratulations to Arissa True on her epic last run in the women's park finals this afternoon, landing her a well-deserved gold medal. Hawk wrote on Instagram, thanks to all the competitors for pushing skateboarding into a new era of equality and oh, for the love of. Well, I'm glad that, your friend's daughter got her medal because, oh my gosh, how long did they have to wait? And that this little girl gets a duck. So, congratulations on Quacker McQuackerton and your gold, young lady. I do not get even halfway near skateboards because me and skateboards, I just don't think it would help. In a terribly sad news or story for all people involved, a wanted shooting suspect skipped bond and then unalived newly retired police chief during a manhunt in a highway crash, crime spree that also leaves a mother of two not alive and a homeowner wounded. Just absolutely terrible. A multi-layered tragedy unfolded in North Carolina earlier this month when a recently retired police chief died along with a murder suspect in a crash on a highway. A third person was also later confirmed to have been killed in relation to those same ill-fated events. On August 1st, Ryan Ricky Houston, 41, was on the run from authorities. He would never be caught. And amid the fiery wreckage of the ignominious blaze that took his life, Houston took another one with him, a 3-decade-plus veteran of law enforcement who spent his final years in charge of the police department for a tiny town in the broader Asheville metro area. The inciting incident occurred at a residence in McDowell County just before midnight on the night in question. There, Houston is presumed to be the perpetrator of a home invasion that resulted in the theft of a rifle and a vehicle, as well as a broken nose and facial fractures sustained by a homeowner. The vehicle was later found abandoned near exit 90 on U.S. Interstate 40. Later that morning, Houston is presumed to have stolen a promotional truck from a boat dealership, a blue 2016 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 four-door pickup bearing the words Sky Marine and Bass Cat. Yeah, you picked the most unobvious truck, you dingus. But his crime spree was not finished yet. As the manhunt ensued throughout the next day, the truck would be abandoned in favor of a Jaguar, also stolen. The sports car eventually collided with another vehicle late on August 2nd, just before 11 p.m. Houston was killed in the crash as a result of the fire caused by the crash on Interstate 26, a Tar Heel State byway near exit 11 in Madison County. Thomas Michael Boone, 54, also died in that crash. He had previously worked in law enforcement for 32 years, with stints as an officer with the Burnsville Police Department, and finally as police chief of the Marshall Police Department. He had retired 2 days before he died. Quote, "This is a terrible tragedy for several communities and family," McDowell County Sheriff Ricky T. Buchanan said in a statement. "Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those involved. I appreciate the collective efforts from our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners on this ongoing investigation." Later, authorities revealed that the wanted man had initially been traveling in his black four-door Mercedes at speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour and evading highway patrol officers who clocked his speed. When he crashed into a tractor-trailer on Interstate 40, inside the vehicle was Mallory Lauren Cobble Crisp, 41. She was rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead from several stab wounds. So it looks like he carjacked her, stabulated her, and then ran into an accident, or then unalived the police, retired police chief in that accident as well. A GoFundMe for Crisp's funeral expenses remembers the slain woman as a wonderful daughter, mother, and friend to so many, with a crazy, silly, loving personality who will be greatly missed by all that came to know her. Before the chaotic events that left a trail of violence and death across North Carolina's highway, Houston was in severe legal trouble. Houston, you have a problem. At the time, the wanted man began his 2-day campaign of criminal last rites. He was out on bond for attempted murder and assaulting law enforcement officer charges after shooting at a Buncombe County Sheriff's Office deputy in May of 2023. Subject to an ankle monitor, the device was turned off or otherwise disabled around 10:03 p.m. on August 1st, according to county records obtained by Citizen Times. The shooting of the deputy occurred while Houston was walking into a jail in downtown Asheville during the early morning hours of last spring. There he began to threaten his wife, who had previously accused him of threatening her. Well, Always good to threaten, your victims right in front of police. What a dingus. Uh, Two deputies intervened. At that time, Houston pulled out a force multiplier and shot one deputy in the shoulder. The deputy, shot back, wounding Houston and sending him to the hospital where he was arrested. He had been out on bail since August 1st, 2023, after posting $1.5 million bond. So I'm guessing in North Carolina it has to be 10%. That's still $150,000, isn't it? I could be wrong. But he was arrested again on August 7th, 2023 for several pretrial violations. But by August 17th, 2023, Houston had obtained his liberty once more after posting $2.7 million bond. I mean, is he from like the Houston dynasty? I am trying to figure out how the heck this man afforded his bond. I mean, that bond is basically supposed to be like you are staying in jail. How did he manage to come up with the money to go on these? And why did they allow him to have another bond after he violated the rules of the first bond? North Carolina, make it make sense to me because I am confused. And right now, I see you as the initiating factor giving this man bond. I can't. Well, Delta travelers are suing the airline after CrowdStrike IT outage cancels thousands of flights. We knew it was only a matter of time before the lawsuits started rolling in. Some passengers of Delta Airlines who were affected by last month's national CrowdStrike IT outage, which resulted in more than 5,000 canceled flights, have filed a lawsuit against the Georgia-based air carrier. The federal action lawsuit filed in Georgia's Northern District names, among others, plaintiffs including a Colorado man who got stranded in Amsterdam, a Florida man who got stuck in Atlanta on his way across the country to Seattle. The impact on Delta passengers was disastrous, the lawsuit said. Delta's failure to recover from the CrowdStrike outage left passengers stranded in airports across the country and the world, in many cases thousands of miles from home. The lawsuit contends Delta had allegedly refused to initially give some automatic refunds to travelers for canceled flights, or would only offer partial refunds, but only after passengers signed a waiver that released the airline from legal liability. It also alleges in the lawsuit that Delta Airlines refused to provide meal, hotel, or ground transportation vouchers, leaving stranded passengers forced to spend thousands of dollars in unexpected expenses. Delta's problem continued through July 25th, following the July 19th outage, forcing the carrier to cancel more than 5,000 flights. The incident cost Delta Airlines about $500 million, CEO Ed Bastian said last week. Several of the hundreds of travelers stranded the day the IT outage struck at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, who stayed there for days, have joined the lawsuit too. Plaintiffs in the lawsuit against Delta have reports being forced to travel by Greyhound bus because rental cars and hotels near the Delta headquarters in Atlanta were completely booked, while another plaintiff reported missing a $10,000 anniversary cruise due to the canceled flights. The U.S. Department of Transportation stated previously that it would investigate Delta's prolonged flight troubles to ensure it was following the law and taking care of its customers. According to the suit, the Colorado plaintiff, flying between Europe and the United States, ended up having to pay thousands of dollars. Rita, I will probably get to that later today. I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon, but if I can get my hands on those, I will be doing those. I was also going to make a separate video going over the DV reports in that case to see if maybe they give a clearer picture of maybe were they both a tussling, was one the aggressor, and try to see the different stories as the police heard them to maybe give us a more clear idea of what Sarah might be using as her defense, and then somewhere where reality is as far as the reports. So I do have things on the docket. I'm just, you know, it's we are plugging along with the Sarah Boone case. It's not like she's going to stop writing letters. In fact, I'm going to do a short where she's writing to the hurricane. Okay. Now, Delta ended up telling this person that was stranded in Europe that refunds would be automatic, but 10 days after, Delta came back to the passenger to say they had to submit a refund request. On July 31st, 2024, plaintiff submitted two refund requests, one for the original canceled flight and one for his out of pocket expenses. In response, Delta offered the plaintiff a $100 voucher to use towards a future flight with Delta, according to the lawsuit. The out of pocket expenses reportedly totaled nearly $2,000. Of the airlines affected by the outage, such as American, United, Delta by far was hit the hardest with canceled flights for many days after other airlines returned to normalcy. In a reply to Delta's own recent lawsuit against the two companies, CrowdStrike says that it's not at fault for Delta's long-term tech issues, while tech giant Microsoft also pushed back on Delta, claiming that a lot of the blame should be on what it considered Delta's older tech infrastructure, in reply to Delta's attorney that echoed CrowdStrike's. CrowdStrike is also facing pending litigation by company shareholders over falling stock prices following the outage, alleging the company's statements about its Falcon software program were false and misleading. Yikes. I am going to mess up this name, but this has to be a very scary scene. And look, I'm not a runner. I'm sure I would fall out if I were at the Olympics. But Olympic runner Lamicha Girma, stretchered off after hitting his head on the track in a terrifying scene. A scary scene developed during the 3,000-meter men's steeplechase when Ethiopian runner Lamencha Grima had to be stretchered off the track after falling as he attempted to clear a hurdle on the final lap of the event. He was headed down the back straightaway with runners on the side of him when he caught his knees on the hurdle, sending him violently towards the ground, where he seemed to hit his head and laid motionless as the broadcast camera panned out as other runners cleared the hurdles around him. Other competitors were able to avoid making contact with the injured man, and medics made their way over to the athlete. I mean, that would be terrifying, but there's no way in absolutely Haiti I would attempt to try to even do a hurdle. I mean, y'all, I I know my coordination limits, and oh my gosh, Mo will never be in a steeplechase. The Ethiopian runner was put in a neck brace and taken off via a stretcher by the medical staff tending to him. French media outlet La Equipe reported that Girma had regained consciousness and he was speaking and being taken to the nearby hospital for further examination. I mean, in 40 years of commentating, running, and steeplechase, I've never seen a fall that heavy, Peacock announcer Leigh Diffie said during the broadcast, according to The Atlantic. Girma won silver in the event during the Tokyo Olympics held in 2021 and holds the current world record in the 3,000-meter men's steeplechase, which he set in 2023 with a time of 7:52:11. Again, there is no way in Hades Mo is ever going to be trying to jump over a hurdle. I can barely do a curb half the time. But I mean, it looks terrifying. He looks like he just fell directly back and hit his head. And then I'm surprised that no one else tripped over him, because I would feel bad, but I'd be right behind this guy and trip the heck over him, causing him more injuries. So I'm glad that he seems to be doing okay. I hope they can figure out what happened and that no one else got seriously hurt, because that looks like it could have been a whole lot of broken everythings had it gone that way. Well, it would be, and let's get it out. It is Florida man time, or Florida woman, or Florida family man time. Because what in the hell, Florida? The Florida family that unalived a deputy was made up of anti-government conspiracy nuts, and the mom was quote unquote joyful over the whole thing. Florida, what the heck? We enjoy your sovereign citizens, but take these actual, violent people and lock them away. A Florida family of four was deep into anti government conspiracy theories when they unalived a sheriff's deputy and injured two others in a shootout last week, authorities said. Michael and Julie Ann Schulpizio and daughters Cheyenne and Savannah. I'm not going to say anything. Look, we wanted them to understand their geography. Were at their home in rural Estes, about 37 miles northwest of Orlando, when deputies arrived Friday night after receiving a report that Julie Ann, 48, had been trying to lure other residents into their house to unalive them, as you do, I guess. When officers encountered Julie Ann, she began talking about angels and demons and accused the neighbors of being PDF files. Officials said authorities took her into custody for a mental evaluation. Lake County deputies then noticed what? Okay, two not alive dogs on their yard. Lock them away. Lock them away. I am done. When they entered the premises, the other three family members ambushed them, shooting Master Deputy Sheriff Bradley Michael Link several times, killing him, authorities said. Other deputies retreated and called for backup. A SWAT team arrived and stormed the property. Two deputies, Master Deputy Harold Howell and Deputy First Class Stefano Garano, were shot by the family members, officials said. As the first SWAT officer to enter the premises, Garano suffered multiple gunshot wounds. So this is the gentleman who unfortunately lost his life, Deputy Sheriff Bradley Michael Link. This is the first SWAT member. And okay, I am not trying to comment. I am fluffy too, but I thought that the SWAT team were like all the really, the guys you bring in because they're buff, they can take care of things. I'm not saying anything, but I'm asking for a friend. This was another officer that was also injured. So these two officers have critical but not life-threatening injuries, as far as we know right now. Not sure. JKD Buck. I'm not laughing, but I identify with this. Like when you are in the rural Midwest, there are certain names that may be associated with certain things, like Chastity being a woman who dances with body glitter on. There are certain trap names, and I feel like Cheyenne is a trap name. Anywho, JKD Buck, we will laugh at hillbilly, names at another date. Let's see here. Now, both daughters sadly were found not alive on the couch from self-inflicted wounds. The father was also found gravely injured by a self-inflicted wound as well and passed away. Julianne described later that she was pleased by the horror. She was joyful, Detective Josh Mercer, who interviewed the mom, told reporters in a Monday press conference. There was no remorse. None at all, he said. Lake County Sheriff Peyton Grinelli said at the briefing that officers found a stockpile of force multipliers and survival supplies inside the home, as well as anti-government propaganda and conspiracy theory related media. I guess they had to drive an assault vehicle just right into the house. Mercer and investigators said they found bumper stickers, handouts, and flyers for things like InfoWars and various podcasts. Okay, InfoWars, look, What these people did was absolutely wrong. But I think giving them the veneer that, oh, they listen to InfoWars, the mother seems like she is absolutely off this planet as far as, mental, logical thinking. But I don't know. I think anyone who's lived with a government is somewhat anti-government. So I feel negatively, framed in this article. I don't want anyone to be any sort of violent, but I think if you fully trust the government, I don't know how you can suspend your disbelief that long. Now, in order to make you all feel good about yourself, and this headline cracked me up, I did not read the article yet. If you're feeling bad about yourself, if you're having a bad day, it is not as bad as this guy's day. Okay? So just feel, if you're having a bad day, just remember you're not this dude. Quote unquote, too fat husband granted a divorce after wife demands a fee for quote unquote incompetent smexy time. Welcome, Shizzy Raiders. So, for our final story, it's just like when I watch, hoarders to feel better about my wife or about my, house looking a little bit messy. Here you go. She redefined a transactional relationship. A man in Taiwan filed for divorce from his wife after she demanded he pay for smexy time on account of him being overweight and bad in bed. The unlikely incel named or surnamed Hao and his merry wife Wan in 2014 had two children, according to the South China Morning Post. However, problems began 3 years later after his soulmate restricted their married time to once a month. Why? I want to know. 2 years later, in 2019, Juan refused to have any sort of romantic time with him at all and reportedly told his relatives that he was too fat and incompetent in bed. I don't know that Hallmark has a card for that. Sweetie, I love you, but you're a little roundish and you could work on your skills. Oh, God. That's so mean. Frustrated over the forced abstinence, her pent up paramour filed for divorce in 2021, but walked back the lawsuit after she promised to work on their relationship. He has even registered their home in her name. Oh, sir, that's a bad idea. But she went back to her old, C block ways shortly after, repeatedly charging him $15. I'm only laughing because I could see Mr. Mo's face if I was like, "Have you redeemed your coupon ticket for doing all of your chores, young man?" Sorry, squirrel. The tax to proved to be too much for him. He wound up filing for divorce a second time this year, in which the judge granted on grounds that their marriage was cold and difficult to fix. Before the second suit, the man had not spoken to his wife for 2 years, only communicating via messaging apps. His spouse didn't want to dissolve their union and appealed to a higher court, but was ultimately rejected. She didn't want to marry him. Why is she trying to fight for this marriage? Interestingly, this isn't the first time someone has imposed a pay for play policy on their partner. I could have been rich. I don't know why I didn't think about this. In 2014, a wife in Taiwan charged her truck driver husband 2,000 Taiwanese dollars or $60 for hanky panky, as well as meals and chats, on the basis that he didn't contribute enough money to the family. According to New York City divorce lawyer James Sexton, two of the main reasons couple get divorced is money problems and, well, boudoir problems. Combine them together and apparently you just have a mega problem. Thank you, Wolfram, for gifting 5 memberships, and those went to Shizzy Wisnut, Waited for Jen, Sammy G, Aussie tank, and half Irish. Congratulations. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have dark chocolate and sarcasm. Sexton claims that a drought typically results in infidelity, observing that some men want more quality smexy time and women want more quality. He revealed in a recent podcast, it's the same reason that prawn is more popular with men than it is with women because men just want to get the job done. Well, all that being said, you're not this guy. I don't know what to tell you, but there you go. You can, of course, divorce anyone for any reason, but I feel like this one's a little bit of a I hope he got a revenge body. Sir, I hope you went to the gym and you got buff and attractive and you just showed her, I hope. Any hoozle, there you are. Those are the morning stories. I will see you guys all for Newsy News Nuggets and Nightly Newsy News tonight, and hopefully I will get those domestic report video up. I don't know if he got a refund for bad wifing. I don't know. Can you imagine their taxes? Yes, my income is at least $13,000. From what? Oh, I charge my husband. I'm gonna have to bring this compensation package up to Mr. Mo. I'm sure it will be glorious. Bye, guys.